So today we're going at our rubber stuffing box. We're going to replace this. Our old one isn't in bad nick, but it is just letting a little sip in of water, so we just want to give that a freshen up. It's been on there about, I think it's 3 years now, but in those 3 years we've done a couple of long trips, so just time to change it out. Here's our old one, down, entering the shaft. And here's our brand spanking new one. So far what we've done is we have just loosened up our bolts on both sides on our drive shaft and removed the shear pin. Okay, nice and handy. Those two back nuts at the back of the drive were quite difficult to get loose, and then we just tap out our shear pin. Now we're going to just tap out our drive shaft. Yeah, nice and loose. We should be able to get the rest of the way. Now you can see all the way up on our drive shaft and prop out on the deck. So that wasn't too bad. So while we had the drive shaft out, or we have the drive shaft out, I've done a quick inspection on the cutlass bearing and have it back fixed in place now, nice and neat. Checking the little water channels just here and here. And the cap, I'm going to clean that out then now in a second from all that little bit of growth. Okay, that deflects the water back up into the drive shaft, which helps the cooling. I also just gave the drive shaft a bit of a clean up and tidy with a bit of scouring, just to kind of clean it, all the surfaces up. Now I want to go in and set it up on the inside. And now remove the old stuffing box. This Jubilee clip here is an extra one I put on to be sure. Okay, and that's the old stuffing box off. Not too bad. Okay, that's our old bracket. So one of the reasons for us doing this job is I just noticed over the last year or so a little drop coming in on the old stuffing box. So when I inspected it, it's slightly, I don't know if you can see it there, it's slightly teardropped in shape. When I say slightly, I mean very slightly. Where the shaft mightn't be 100% straight going into the port there. So one of the reasons for doing this is we're just going to put the shaft back in now, and then we're going to just check the alignment is just a little bit, that it's going into that shaft holder correctly, that it's not out of alignment and it's even at top, bottom, left to right. That'll involve just a little bit of adjustment on the engine mounts, I think. So yeah, as expected, one of our mounts was down a little bit, causing this to sit a little low here. So I'm in the middle of adjusting this mount here now, which was sitting a little low, to bring it back up. And I'm just testing it. So that pencil will fit in there, won't fit there, won't fit there, and it definitely won't fit underneath. So I need to rise it about another 3 or 4 mil. So now let's check it again. That's almost level. There's another. Another about 1.5 mil in it. So now let's so using the very exact pencil method, we're fairly even the whole way around. So that'll almost do. What I have to do now is retighten this. It looks like someone replaced that mount, because the rest of them are all what look like fairly original, while this one is very fresh. So I have a funny feeling it never got adjusted 100%, leaving that slightly out of alignment. Now lock this back into place. Now that's locked back into place. That could be just rattle itself over the years. It's something I'm going to have to keep an eye on now for the season. The two of them, the two either side, now look a lot more even, so the engine should be sitting more balanced as well, which is all a positive. So now let's open this and see what's in here. Okay, packaging quite minimal, that's a plus. We have our grease, we have a little nozzle for that, we have our rubber stuffing box, an instruction manual, Just some packing. We have 2 stoppers. Okay, what these are used for is to bung up the holes. And we also have this, which is for bleeding. So if your drive shaft was needed to be a water outtake runoff to cool it, you would put this in. But in our scenario, we don't. We just bung up the 2 holes. Enough water gets through. We don't need this. And then this little doodah is what we use when we're driving it down the shaft. We grease it up and put it on, and it helps protect the rubber as you're putting it down the drive shaft. Okay. So now what we do is we put our sleeve, protective sleeve, on there. Okay, and then we're going to put a small bit of grease onto the drive shaft just to get this on. Okay. And we're going to slide this all the way down. Now that we have this on the shaft, I'm going to remount the drive shaft to the gearbox. With a little bit of jigging and a little bit of working, we got her there. Now just to straighten her up a fraction. And that's her aligned. Now we put our split pin back in. Now with the drive shaft back connected to the gearbox and our shear pin in and all is good, it's time to go back and complete the installation of the stuffing box. So the next thing we have to do is mount the stuffing box. So we're going to take the stuffing box and get it as far down onto the sleeve as possible. Okay. And then we'll put these 2 guys back in. So, yeah. Let's tighten up. Now we're going to try pull out that little protector. Just like that. Nice and neat. So now we're going to apply a little bit of grease in there. Put our little stoppers in. And tighten them down. A little bit more grease just to be on the safe side. We apply it whenever I think of it, really, and we just keep an eye on it. One really important thing to do is when you put the boat in the water, you want to burp it. That is, you want to press the valve and let water come up through for a second. What this does is it takes any airlock out of the system and just fills the whole pipe with water, which helps with the cooling of the whole drive shaft and the rubber seal. So it's very important that you do that. It lets all the air out, lets water come through. A little bit of water will come in, but you let that happen and then it will seal itself again and work brilliantly for the season. And now comes the hard part of all jobs, the tidy up.